Hello, and welcome back to the Animal Planet news station. Today's episode is all about those slimy little things we call
amphibians.
We will be focusing on 4 different animals from this class and depicting their behaviors, structures, and how they have adapted to their environments.
Wait a second, newscaster Mo. Shouldn't we give some general descriptions of amphibians and what they are?
What a great idea.
Anyway, when you first hear the word amphibian, you might think of frogs or toads or maybe even salamanders. Indeed, all these animals are members of the same phylum and class, which is Chordata amphibia.
Bless you.
Thanks. Anyways, again, all members of this class possess the same characteristics. They are all vertebrates, cold-blooded, and need water or a moist environment to survive. If they lack this environment, there is no way that they can prosper because water is the breeding ground of these animals. Young amphibia are born in ponds or bodies of water and start as eggs. However, during their lifetime, they undergo metamorphosis and therefore become inhabitants of land. The last fact I have about amphibians, and probably the most useful one to you, is the fact that they are endangered.
Wow, newscaster Sarah, that's actually pretty sad that people aren't aware of the impact we have on species that are slowly going extinct.
It is really quite sad that us humans are constantly changing their habitats and throwing their precious cycles out of whack. This causes major and life-threatening changes within the class and eventually may cause uncontrollable death within certain species and therefore lead to extinction.
Thanks, newscaster Sarah.
Alrighty, newscaster Imaan.
Okay, after that horrendous one-liner, building off of newscaster Sarah, let's take a closer look at an amphibian known as the alpine newt.
Yes,
let's!
The alpine newt is a great example of a different type of amphibian that is almost a mix of a lizard and a frog.
It kind of looks like newscaster Mo.
You're right. Well, it is very close to the salamander. It has a slender body and a rounded head as well as a laterally compressed tail. Has a smooth skin for its aquatic needs and has 5 fingers and toes. The alpine newt resided in Europe in extreme temperatures. In Italy, it lives in the most northern and southern parts, whereas in Spain, it resides in the mountainous regions. It does not live in any of the island regions, which have drier and more warmer temperatures. On land, they tend to stick to the wooded areas so the females can lay their eggs. The alpine newt reaches sexual maturity at around 2 to 3 years of age, at which time the females lay around 200 eggs. The alpine newt uses its body and structure to defend itself from predators since it has a very vivid color and design which makes them prey. This is common with most amphibians as they rely on their body types to help them survive. They can move around super quickly and with their slimy skin they can move around within the forest. That's the best amphibian there is, as you can tell structurally speaking.
Now, Imaan, there are more organisms with better adaptations to the environment that show and share characteristics of what an amphibian is, such as the poison dart frog.
I have to agree with Mo on this one.
Okay, Mo, since you've been babbling on, care to explain your theory?
Yes, Imaan. Phyllobates terribilis is a species of poison dart frog. They tend to live for about 10 years in the wild. They are very small and are usually an inch or so in size. Typically, they weigh an ounce or less. This species is currently labeled as an endangered species and is one of over 100 different species of poison dart frog. However, the specific species resides only in the Pacific coast of Colombia, just like you reside only in Oakville, Imaan. Interestingly, these frogs get their poison from the food they eat. Insects eat poisonous food from poisonous plants, and these frogs then eat them in a process that is known as assimilation. This deadly poison is very powerful, and a single 2-inch frog can kill 10 men.
Touché, Mo. Looks like all these animals use their little features to help them survive.
Since there seems to be a bit of tension going on, let's break for a few minutes and talk about some quick and fun amphibian facts.
Okay, there happen to be about 5,400 species of amphibians all around the world.
Wow, that's almost as many as the amount of times Mo has been proved wrong.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, one of those species is the mascarene frog, and it holds the record for leaping 17.5 feet in a single jump.
Lastly, and the coolest of all, amphibians include cilians.
What's a sailian?
It's a type of amphibian that is probably the most uncommon.
That's right. It is usually forgotten and looks pretty similar to a worm or snake as it has no limbs, but it's still a type of amphibian as it fits all the same criteria that we talked about before.
They are mostly found in Central and Southern America in wet and underground areas. They are expert burrowers and are unlike worms as they have small eyes as well as a skull and backbone. They can grow up to 4 feet. Biologists assume that they may have started off as salamanders, but over time have adapted to become better at burrowing and therefore lost their limbs.
Wow, speaking of salamanders, I have one more example to share.
Wow, another example. That's good help.
Jeez, Imaan, just listen. I promise it will help.
Fine.
Okay, so basically there's another type of amphibian we haven't talked about yet, salamanders. In particular, let's explore the spotted salamander. This is a species that is very common in Canada as well as other parts of North America. Its favorite habitat is ponds and forests and in the right conditions can grow up to 9 inches long. The structure is made up of a stout body and a rounded snout, along with more swollen-looking head near the back of the jaw. They feed on worms, insects, and slugs.
Okay, we get it. They're like every other amphibian. This isn't very helpful.
That's where you're wrong, Mo. They have a very special and distinct set of adaptations, such as the fact that both their back and tail contain glands that carry toxic fluids. So when they attack, these fluids are released into a defense mechanism. As well, they are able to detach and regrow their tails to help distract their prey and allow them to get away. Their skin color is another thing that saves them from being hurt, since they blend right in with their habitats. However, their numbers are decreasing because humans are causing habitat loss. But they have an adaptation to this, which allows them to reproduce at much quicker rates. They undergo a form of sexual reproduction called polygynerous mating, whereas both the male and female mate with multiple others to produce way more eggs. Didn't you find all that interesting?
Nope. Yeah, but that's all the time we have.
Tune in next time for another episode of
Animal Planet.
See you later.